Hey there! Welcome back to Say What? Today, we're diving into a fun and enlightening topic that many of us can relate to. The lies we were told as kids. From the wild tales about how the world works to those quirky myths that our parents swore were true, we all grew up with some interesting facts. But what's the real story behind these childhood beliefs? Join me as we uncover the bizarre and hilarious lies that shaped our childhoods. Myth number 1. Whether you're religious or not, you've likely heard the biblical story of Adam and Eve eating the forbidden apple in the Garden of Eden. But did you know? The Bible does not specifically mention that Adam and Eve ate an apple. Instead, it refers to the forbidden fruit simply as fruit. In the book of Genesis, the account describes how God commanded Adam not to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but it does not specify the type of fruit. The association of the forbidden fruit with an apple likely stems from later artistic interpretations, cultural symbolism, and the Latin word malus, which means both apple and evil. Different traditions and interpretations have emerged over time, leading to the common depiction of the forbidden fruit as an apple in Western art and literature. Moving on to number 2, which will likely put you at ease if you don't already know. It's a myth. The myth that you swallow 7 to 8 spiders a year. The idea that the average person swallows a certain number of spiders while sleeping, often cited as 8 spiders per year, is a myth and is not supported by evidence. Spiders generally avoid humans and are not likely to crawl into a person's mouth while they are sleeping. This notion likely arose from the combination of urban legends and a misunderstanding of how people react to their environment while they sleep. In reality, it's highly improbable that someone would swallow spiders in their sleep. Myth number 3. The myth that you lose more body heat through your head. The common belief that you lose most of your body heat through your head is somewhat of a myth. While it's true that the head can release heat, especially when it's uncovered, heat loss occurs from all parts of the body, with the extent depending on various factors, including body surface area and exposure. Research shows that if the head is significantly more exposed compared to the rest of the body, it may indeed contribute to a larger proportion of heat loss. However, when the whole body is fully covered, heat loss is more evenly distributed across all exposed areas. In cold conditions, it's important to cover all parts of the body to maintain warmth, not just the head. So, while the head is a significant area for heat loss, it is not the sole contributor when the entire body is taken into account. Speaking of the human body, have you ever heard the myth that gum will stay in your stomach for 7 years? Well, it's not true. It's a myth. While it's often said that swallowed gum takes 7 years to digest, this is not true. When gum is swallowed, it passes through the digestive system like any other non-digestible substance. Although the body cannot break down certain components of the gum, it will typically pass through the digestive tract and be excreted within a few days, just like any other food or materials that are not absorbed. It's best to avoid swallowing gum, but it won't stick around in your body for 7 years, and most definitely not have your bottom blowing bubbles. Myth number 5. Blood is blue inside of our bodies. No, blood is not blue inside the body. It is red. The misconception that blood is blue may come from the appearance of veins through the skin, which can sometimes give a bluish tint. However, the blood within the veins is actually dark red. The visual perception of blue is influenced by the way light penetrates and reflects off the skin and the underlying tissues. Many of us likely had parents that told us, if you keep making that face, it'll freeze that way. Don't make a silly face, or it'll freeze that way. Is just a humorous expression and not literally true. Your facial expressions can change, and making a silly face won't cause your face to remain in that position permanently. However, if you frequently make the same expressions, it can contribute to the development of facial habits over time. But it won't literally freeze. So feel free to make faces without worrying about a permanent effect. But what about myth number 7? If you accidentally eat an apple seed, will a tree grow inside of your stomach? Of course not. Eating an apple seed won't cause a tree to grow inside of your stomach. The human digestive system breaks down seeds and prevents them from germinating. If you happen to swallow one, it's likely going to pass through your digestive system without any issues. However, it's still best to avoid consuming large quantities of seeds from any fruit. Too many of them can equal bad. It could be even worse than being caught peeing in a pool. Which brings us to myth number 8. Does the color of the water surrounding you change if you pee in a pool? Yes and no. Urine itself does not change the color of the pool water. However, some pools are treated with special chemicals that can cause a visual reaction when urine is present. These chemicals may create a colored cloud or a dye in the water to indicate that someone has urinated. This is often seen as a deterrent for urinating in pools. However, the effectiveness and common use of these dyes are often exaggerated, and they are not universally present in all swimming pools. In general, good hygiene practices and regular pool maintenance are important for keeping pool water clean and safe. Now for myth number 9, which, believe it or not, chocolate milk does not come from brown cows. The belief that chocolate milk comes from brown cows is often a humorous misunderstanding or a joke rather than a serious misconception. It likely stems from the combination of children's innocence, playful imagination, and the visual connection between the color of the cow and the color of chocolate milk. This idea has been perpetuated by jokes, cultural references, and sometimes even children's programming, leading to playful discussions about where chocolate milk actually comes from. In reality, chocolate milk is made by adding chocolate syrup or cocoa powder to regular milk, regardless of the cow's color. This humorous misunderstanding highlights how easily information can be misinterpreted, especially among younger audiences. And finally, myth number 10. Drinking coffee stunts your growth. The idea that drinking coffee can stunt your growth is largely a myth. Research suggests that moderate coffee consumption does not affect height or growth in children and teenagers. Growth is primarily influenced by genetics and overall nutrition rather than caffeine intake. Did you believe any of these myths when you were a kid? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you all next time.